Hello CNC students, Mr. Calverley back again. Today we're going to work on a project. We're going to install a 6-inch Kurt angle lock vise into our TM1 Haas machine. And we're then going to indicate that in to make sure it's ready to run. So before we put our vise in, we want to make a couple checks and do a few things. We really need to make sure that the bottom of our vise is clean and free from any burrs or chips or nicks, because when we put that in, it can scratch our table. It also will make your vise sit off on a slight angle, which could interfere with your machining process. So we're just going to take this vise and we're going to turn it up on its edge like this. I'm just going to use a nice clean towel, and I want to wipe off any loose chips or debris. You see how dirty that vise is just right there. Just want to make sure I don't have any chips on it at this point. I've got a few on there. We're going to wipe that off. Now I'm going to take a little WD-40 and I'm going to use a polishing stone. And these stones has a rough side and a fine side. I'm going to use the fine side for this. Make sure that's clean. I'll just put just a little bit of WD-40 on my stone. And I'm going to take the stone very gently, and I'm just going to move it as kind of a circular pattern around my vise. And you'll feel when it hits a burr, because it'll really grab. This vise feels pretty good on the bottom. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll probably just wipe this off one more time to make sure I don't have any debris on that. So now we're ready to install that vise into the table. So before we install our vise onto our table, we want to do the same thing on our table. I'm going to take a nice clean rag. I'm going to wipe my table off. Make sure we don't have any chips on the table. I put a little bit of WD-40 on my stone again, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just lightly stone my table. Make sure it's nice and flat, free of nicks and debris. And we'll wipe this table off again and take off any residue from the WD-40 on. Once we have our table clean, we're going to go ahead and just really gently set our vise down on our table. We want to just eyeball line up the T-slots in the table with the slots that are there for your vise. We're going to take our two T-slots, our nuts, and we're going to slide them into place on both sides. We're not going to tighten them down yet. And I really like to just hand tighten these and then pull the vise back towards you a little bit. Gives you your best chance to get it at least close to being lined up. Once our vise is installed and just hand tight on the T-nuts, we're going to indicate across the face of our vise. Now this is really important that we get this as good as we can, because any alteration or any out of alignment that the vise is to the spindle movement is going to translate right into your part. So using the handle jog, we are going to jog straight across the face of this vise. Now we're going to use a dead blow hammer, a soft hammer. We don't want to beat on this with a big hammer, of course. And the way this is going to work is, because this is just hand tight, this will still move a little bit. So as we go across, we want to find the low side, in other words, the side that's farthest away from me. So if this is my low side, I'm going to lightly tap on this and watch my indicator as it moves until I can get alignment. I'm going to check that side back and forth. So I still have just a little bit of out of alignment on this vise. I'm going to move it back across to the far side, and I'm going to gently tap it again until I get the vise set exactly where I want. Again, I'm going to double check back and forth. Once I have it where I feel pretty confident that it's close, I'm going to lightly snug each side of this vise. If I try to tighten one side too hard first, I can knock the vise out of alignment. I'll go back and forth on the nuts, just tightening them up a little bit. Once I feel that I'm fairly secure, I'm going to go ahead and recheck just one more time. That vise still looks pretty good where it's sitting, so I really like the alignment. I'll go ahead and tighten these up completely. Now that we have our vise fully installed, we're just going to check back with the indicator all the way across with our handle jog. You see we have a little bit of movement in that indicator, but it's really close, probably less than a thousandth over a 6-inch span. So we're pretty happy with that setup now. So you see, students, now you know how to install a vise in our TM1s. This works for any machine that we have. So you put the vise in, make sure everything's clean, you tighten it up, we're going to indicate it, make sure that the straightness to the axis is correct, because any error there will translate right into your part. So thanks for watching, we'll see you soon.